us again.
Again.
We had a question that was asked, and we thought we would just do a quick
More
snapshot.
questions and answers from William and Sherry.
Yeah. Okay. There's something.
Tongue-tied.
There is something that I'm interested in learning more about, especially from two healed twins. I'm interested in learning
Wait
how.
a minute. We're not healed. We're in healing. Okay. Yep, that's clarified. Can we start all over?
There is something that I'm interested in learning more about, especially from two healing twins.
There it is.
I'm interested in learning how to view relationships that I happen to come upon when I know the other person is not my divine counterpart flame. I always seem to view these encounters as short-term and to learn life lessons, but nothing more, and I always perhaps judge myself to some extent.
Don't do that.
Stop doing that. Feeling that I am being untrue to my deepest self and entering another partnership. So I pose this question primarily because I am curious as to how you, Lee and Sherry, have viewed being in other partnerships while knowing that you have found your one true love. But I also, because I am interested in hearing how everyone else's views relationships with other people who are not your one true flame. The answer to my question may also be better expressed through a video. And if so, let me know and I would love to watch it.
That was a subtle way to say make a video on this.
Yes.
And we love you. You know who you are.
Yes.
Very much. Let's start by saying the key word that I'm pulling out of that paragraph is relationship. Because there's such a big difference in relationship and connection or union, right? Because we tried to have a relationship. In that relationship, we tried to be in a relationship with other people.
We suck at relationships.
Yeah, we're not good at relationships.
Not at all.
But we're amazing in union.
We're amazing in connection.
Very amazing. Another video.
Yes.
That's probably the key thing to acknowledge, is that you're trying to have a relationship. And a relationship can be had with your mother, your sister, your brother, your child, your dog. And there are obviously good relationships and not so good in relationships and toxic relationships. So if you're attempting to have a relationship with a let's say a romantic or sexual or loving type of relationship. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
A romantic relationship with someone who is not your divine counterpart or twin or whatever you want to call them. Keep in mind that it is a relationship and that connection isn't there. So there's probably some type of connection there, but that connection that you would have with your divine twin or counterpart or connected one isn't there. So that unconditional understanding isn't going to be, and that's something that you have to work at and work through.
Agreed.
Relationships take work, they take compromise, they take understanding, communication on a human soul, not a human level, not so much a soul level. Right?
Truth.
Yeah.
So, how do you view this? Well, you have to go back to the source. You came in through connection. Through male and female energy, you were produced. You came into this world. And what you have to go on is that you were connected to the male and female energy. So how you're going to respond in connection to a vibrational energy that you feel a connection to, you're only going to respond to how you respond to the male and female energy. Connection breakdown, you see it? Because if you have dysfunction, you're going to be dysfunction when it comes to this connection. Now, relationship is different. Relationship, you get to play a role of I'll be who you want me to be, and you'll be who I want you to be, and we'll try to make this work.
Or I'll attempt to be what you want or need me to be.
Attempt.
I'll
Attempt is a good
attempt
word.
to be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he don't like mashed potatoes, and I love mashed potatoes, so I'll attempt to live my life without mashed potatoes because you hate them.
Yes, that's relationship. Compromise, right? Connection, no compromise. No need to try to have a relationship. It's not like you remove the connection because of the relationship. Well, unless you disconnect from yourself. I mean, that's usually what you have to do when you're in a relationship and it's successful because you are tolerating who you're not.
Toleration.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Stop
she
doing
asked.
that.
Stop doing that. She asked the question.
Being in other partnerships?
How we. She's curious as to how we had viewed being in other partnerships while knowing that you have found your one true love. And well, that word partnership it rings true. When Lee and I were separated because hello everyone, because of our egos. Yes, we all have egos, Mike. And we were attempting to be with other people. That word partnership really rings true. The partnership that I had with somebody else was simply that. It was a partnership. It was a relationship. Or not even so much a relationship. Partnership pretty much sums it up.
In a relationship, you can hide who you are.
Yep. Yep. Big Mike has partnerships with the mailman and the UPS guy.
Yeah, right. So let's say this so we can really sum it up. Knowing where my heart belonged and what it was connected to, just like, connected to the male and the female energy that came into the world with, and I was connected to here. Of course, you can have relationships. Still doesn't mean you're going to get to be yourself. But it also means that it's love. It's conditioned love. It's going to be conditioned love because there's a condition behind it. The condition is that what you're experiencing can be a connection, but you may have to disconnect from yourself in order to be in that connection. That's not the same thing. It's like if for example, if when you're with somebody and this connection comes along and now you're looking at the person like, connect to me, connect to me, connect to me, and you're telling them to connect to you, or you're expecting them to meet that expectation of having a connection to them, just like you're having over here. It doesn't work like that. Because now you're going to be different because who you can be and who you can be accepted for is different. It's really quite interesting because you talk to somebody who runs into this connection and are already with somebody and they feel like they can be themselves with the person they're connected to and can't be the person that they know they are with the person they're in a relationship with. Of course not. That's what we're trying to get you to understand with what you're asking. We were able to be something for somebody else, but we weren't able to be ourselves.
Yeah, I know that is underlying somewhere in that question was how were we able to do that. And I know that when I was in that situation and I was attempting to have some type of relationship with someone other than Lee, already knowing that Lee and I were connected on a spiritual, on a soul level, and that connection couldn't be duplicated. I had done so much worldly 3D damage that I felt like I had spiritually damaged our connection, which inevitably wasn't true. However, it felt like that. Like there was so much damage done. We were always going to be connected on a soul level, but we were never going to be able to be in a human union or be together. So what I had done in my mind was just surrendered to the fact that I was going to have to live in 3D relationship, knowing full well that I had spiritual connection elsewhere, and that I was going to have to, when that came up, deny it in my mind. Because I couldn't deny it in my soul, I had to deny it in my mind. So, not being able to shut my soul up, but being able to shut my mind down and saying, nope, there goes a squirrel. You know what I mean?
Squirrel.
Squirrel. To redirect the thought process that my soul was initiating. Mm-hmm. This isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't it. The soul was telling me, this isn't who you're connected to. This isn't who you're connected to. My mind was going, hello, this isn't who you're connected to. Your soul's talking.
The same one that gave you permission
right.
to betray the soul.
Yes, and, right, exactly. And I'm able to say, oh, okay, squirrel. My mind, you know what I mean? I was able to just surrender to the idea or the thought that we could ever be together on a soul level and in a human. I don't want to say the word relationship because we are not in a relationship.
We suck at relationships.
Lee and I live together. We are married. We work together. We eat together. We sleep together. We pretty much do everything together.
Yeah.
Always together.
Mm-hmm.
And we say it all the time in our videos. We have one cell phone because we are rarely apart. And if I go get my nails done, or go to the tanning bed, or he goes to the post office, or go to the store without one another, we're not codependent on one another in any way, shape, or form.
No.
We are not codependent. We are able to do things without each other. We just don't. And it's not because we are in relationship and we're codependent. We're in union and we're just together all the time. And that doesn't mean that
if you have a man and a woman standing side by side, in this particular case, what it would look like if we're talking about from the soul goes like this.
Yeah, there it is.
And it goes through half and then half. Mm-hmm. And we share that.
Right.
So when we're in that space, the good thing is that we've gone through the ego meltdown, the ego dissection, the ego's dismantling of what relationship is to the self. And what happened when we did that is we were able to speak from that place in the soul, the united soul, that actually allowed both of us to actually understand what our egos were trying to dictate by trying to have a relationship with one another. And again, we were never really perfect at it at all.
And we'll tie in. We were going to do another video on this, but I think it can be tied into this one. Because we're in union and we are together in union and we're not in relationship, that doesn't mean that we don't individually have inner conflict.
Right.
The difference is this. If I come downstairs and I'm having a bad morning, and it could be anything, it doesn't matter what it is. My pants don't fit right, or I was dumb enough to step on the scales that morning, or something's not clean that I wanted to wear that day. It could be anything. There's a towel in disarray, or there's whiskers in the sink, but it's anything. Anything that I'm projecting inside myself, something that I'm not happy with inside myself, I can come down the steps. Lee can be in peace. He's always in peace. I can come downstairs and be in total conflict with myself, and everything that's happened that morning is his fault automatically because he's there. We're together 24 hours a day. So it's automatically his fault. So what we tend to do is project our inner conflict onto the person that we're closest to, that we love the most, that's there all the time. And then what happens is, if you're in relationship, then the other person's ego gets activated. And what the hell are you talking about? I haven't done nothing. I just came downstairs, I made the coffee and everything. I'm fine. What's your problem? And then the egos get activated, and then that's where conflict comes from. And sometimes it can get very, very toxic, especially if you're in relationship, because then words get slung, and something that happened 2 years ago gets brought up, or something that happens last week gets brought up, or in 1982 this is what you did, and it gets slung, and then the toxicity gets worse and worse and worse, to the point where sometimes there's punches thrown and tables thrown, and just because of the inner conflict that you're having with yourself. So when we're in coaching and in session, and we're coaching someone who's having these conflicts all the time with their significant other, the conflict, find the root of the conflict. We're always attacking somebody else, or always attacking because of the inner conflict that's going on inside of us, instead of coming down steps and saying, well, I was dumb enough to step on the scales, right? And I'm pretty pissed off at myself for, everything I ate last week, because I'm really wanting to be healthy. Instead of doing that, we come down the steps, or we come in the room and say, well, you're just an asshole. For no reason that they've done, for nothing that they've done. It's the inner conflict that we have. What kind of inner conflict could Mike have?
He doesn't have any. He's probably one of our greatest teachers.
Yeah, he's
the
pretty
cool thing
awesome.
is we get to be his students all day long. He literally
Lives in the now.
lives in the now. He never has a past moment.
He doesn't have inner
I
conflict.
could sleep anywhere. You could sleep anywhere. The inner conflict, right? The inner conflict is also a way you can disconnect from yourself. And the triggers come from pains that you've experienced throughout your life. For example, you're 5 years old and you're told you are responsible for this, and you get into trouble or get spanked or get punished or get ignored. These triggers have a way of showing back up in the connection. They will not show up in relationships, because in relationships you'll handle that differently, because you are not inside of yourself. So what ends up happening is that when you come into this connection, the ways that you abandon and avoid and reject yourself show up from the other person, and next thing you know, you're wondering why they're doing this, or why they're running, or why you're chasing, or any of those things that seem to happen or cause that energy to exist. You're doing it to yourself. So if you decide that you have this connection and it's your one true love, and you found him, and you're not able to be together, so you're going to go out and you're going to have a relationship. You'll find a relationship that matches what your needs need to be, because you're okay with making somebody else responsible for your own happiness, making somebody else responsible for the stuff that you're going through, making somebody else be there for you, because you won't be there for yourself. How else can you come in a connection until you stop doing that?
The difference is when you're connected and you're in union, and I accidentally step on the scales and I come down and I start to project. You start to project and you start to attack the other person, because you're feeling like you're self-judging to a point where you need to. The difference is, in union, Lee will sit here in complete peace. And instead of him coming into my chaos, he will sit here in peace, and I'm more attracted to his peace, and I will come into his peace.
That's the only way non-peace can turn into peace.
The difference is I can sit there and throw pins and huff and puff and write hard and throw little mini tantrums. And the difference is he doesn't feed into that, and he doesn't say anything to me like, quit acting like that or stop doing that. He allows me to be in my conflict all by myself.
If I was to step into it, okay. If you knew there was a field of mines, and you knew that if you stepped on one of those mines out there, you'd blow up, wouldn't you go around it? So you just have to raise your vibrational frequency of being in peace. So when I see her in non-peace, I raise the level of peace by just being in peace. So that way, if she's triggered, I'll listen. I won't ask any questions. I'll let her come out with it, and I'll let her arrive at her own expectation of what she knows that she needs to do at this moment. Expecting me to take her out of her or bring her back into peace is where I have failed numerous amounts of time. I believe we've all done that. We all want to take away somebody else's pain. We always want to be responsible and do that because that's what you do in a relationship. This is a connection. The only way you can really truly accept and embrace what connection means is to ask yourself, am I connected to myself? It'll show up. It'll let you know whether you are or you aren't. Usually your non-peace has to do with not being connected to yourself because of some kind of self-judgment.
And hear me out here, because there's an ending to this, or I don't want to say disclaimer, but I need to start by saying if you're really getting confused about the difference, am I in a relationship or is this a union or a connection? The difference is if you're having conflict, if you're having knockdown, drag out arguments, if you are having egoic conflict, if you're attacking one another, if you're hitting one another, if you're throwing things, if you're cursing at one another, putting each other down, bringing up the past, if you're going through any of that mess, if you're checking their Facebook, if you're stalking them, if you're riding around their house, if you're doing all this mess surrounding your significant other or the one you're divinely connected to, think about it. Think about, in union, those things don't happen. Those things aren't possible.
They're possible. It's going to make sure that you're disconnected.
Right. That's there it is. That doesn't mean, please don't take me wrong, and that doesn't mean that we're saying that that's not the person you're connected to, because it very well could be. You're just still lost in ego. You're still lost
Your
in...
ego is making you disconnected.
Exactly.
Your thought process.
I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form if you're arguing, if you're fighting, if you're throwing things, if you're spurting words back and forth that you're not connected on a spiritual level. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you're attempting to have a relationship where a connection should be.
And if you're walking around and you most of the time have a sour look on your face because you're not with the person you truly love and know you're connected to, look in the mirror and say, am I connected to me? And if the sour look comes back, you'll understand why you're not connected to them. Took us a really long time to figure that out. A really horrible, beautiful, wonderful, tragic
Disaster.
experience that was filled with unconditional love. We hope this message made a lot of sense. Deuces.